When we got the news that Pablo Neruda had died, I wrote this poem, 1973, Elegy for Pablo Neruda. You are dead, and what have you left us? A voice that tells us once again that we're human, and it's okay, that we have bruised up, banged up, lived on feet, and it's okay that we love and feel such pain from it, and that's okay because we're human. Because we're human, we cannot allow ourselves to be oppressed. Because we're human, we cannot allow our sisters and brothers to be oppressed. Because we're human, because we love, we struggle. Because we love, because we're human, we write poems. We sing with our insides. Gracias, Pablo. Gracias a ti. This was written right after the winter solstice, and it's called Dear Listeners, for La Raza Chronicles, KPFA, which is the program that I produce on Tuesday nights with some other very wonderful people. Dear listeners, we are here for you, dear listeners, talking of the Americas. Every Tuesday when you're riding in the car or working in the kitchen for the evening meal or marking time in jail, straining to hear above the din, or on the job, or standing in front of the mirror wondering, or in the hospital bed healing with each breath, or pedaling along in a sound cocoon wearing a headset as you pump through traffic and a car passes with a KPFA bumper sticker and you smile. Our voices dance to you between the ground and the ambience of weather through technologies we use but we don't really understand except to push a button. Do we reach you oh so far away from Berkeley, California on the internet or phone long after we've left the studio at a future date when time and space work together? We're here for you, speaking in English, Espanol or Spanglish, covering the beat of the Americas, where penguins roamed in ancient Peru and elephants trod northern California earth, and Homo sapiens left their bones, their rock tools, woven baskets and shell mounds by the water, their sounds still echoing in caves and images still seen carved in stone. We are here with our recorded voices and computer-edited segments, gathering news, compiling upcoming events, discovering music, poetry, commentary, and questions that lead us to one interesting guest and another. We are here through our tumultuous process of being free speech radio by following strictly imposed FCC legal dictums of forbidden words and the limits of budget and the tactical restrictions of not airing our dirty linens soiled with internal quarrels and power wresting matches that will not be broadcast. We are here anticipating elections in the Southern Hemisphere or the Caribbean, reaching to find a contact for what's happening on the ground in Central America through a terrifying coup or within an indigenous community or the nearer reservation in defense of precious land, water, sky. We are here trying to understand the evolution of a tropical revolution or nations making their way through the quagmire of capitalism and exploitation of people and resources. We are freeing prison voices through the phone to these public airwaves, adding information and photos to our website, larazacronicles.org, organizing through radio to bring the voices of the barrio in the streets of Aztlán and the campuses to grow grassroots into bloom. We are here translating, adding English voiceovers to get the message out, the news, the flavor, the rhythm, the rhyme, the humor, the spice, the recipe, the contradictions, the cocktail of blending new world cultures in this one great world and its emerging voices of recent immigrants. We are here, the youngest, the older, and the eldest, telling, asking, learning, entertaining, and always hoping through the worst equipment snafus, backfiring technologies, bad news, storms, colds, flus, job losses, family troubles, health challenges, breakups, broken hearts, and divergent views, hoping that we are here for you and that you are listening, sharing these moments of this one miraculous gift of life, however long or short. We thank you for listening. We're acknowledging the oneness of this huge sharing called radio, called free speech radio, called KPFA, called 94.1 FM, called La Raza Chronicles, resounding the breaths of lost languages, lost species. Our voices are prayers for the planet, for the Americas, for our stance at the microphone, joining with you to look up at the stars in wonder, in fear, in confidence, in community, in communion, in contrast, in constraint, in free will, linking our voices, ears, and hearts to our beloved Mother, Earth, that sustains us all. This last poem I wrote for you for this event. It goes like this. El pueblo unido jamás será. 1970. It was the first time I heard those words in Santiago de Chile, in a crowd packed so tight that when I shifted my weight, the crowd rushed into that infinitesimal space, lifting me off my feet, upheld by a crush of humanity, carrying banners, raising fists, and jumping while chanting, El que no brinca es momio. And in one of those jumps, I landed on my feet again. Up on the outdoor podium stood Salvador Allende, presidential candidate. By his side, Pablo Neruda, beloved poet, lending support. Most everyone knew his verses by heart. Miners, peasants, urban shantytown dwellers, women with babies in their arms. Neruda had already elections stumped with him 3 times, every 6 years through the long stretch of Chile. Allende, the persistent one. Neruda read his poems and urged, vote for Allende. And I, a foreign poet in the crowd, jostled and thrilled, heard him read and recite in that stylized way that the young poets scorned as old-fashioned. Heard him then, and can still hear him now. I remember a few days later, with my friend Maria, waiting for the light to change, I asked, do you think Allende will win? If he does, she said, stepping off the curb, the oligarchy and the multinational corporations will feel threatened, and the danger will be a coup. What will you do then? Fight, she said, as we dodged cars. Get out in the streets and fight. I have heard El Pueblo Unido many times and in many places since then, and always wonder what makes me join in the chant, because I know what happened in Chile. You know what happened. Arrests, torture, exile, privatization, Pinochet, Kissinger, Nixon, capitalism. But it's something about believing, a collective hope that doesn't die. It lives between the street and the ambience. It lives in me.